if I could really go way back, I would probably fix the mentality of our parents. To not let them think that there's no career, there's no life in music and arts. The record labels, especially the major ones, are shady.
Raphael Benza, founder of Fifth Season, joins us in Kigali, Rwanda. He has lived every side of the music industry: artist, promoter, manager, label boss. He built his independent record company from ground up and discovered and managed South Africa's global hip-hop star, AKA.
Yeah, AKA would probably, I would still say that he made Burna Boy.
He didn't just study the game, he toiled for it. Benza says passion is the biggest lie in music. Streaming pays pennies. Major labels aren't your friends. And in Africa, there is no safety net. Failure costs more. This isn't about chasing fame. It's about ownership, leverage, and turning talent into a real business.
As a business, I won't cut my teeth at my own expense.
Okay. Yeah, explain that for us. Hello and welcome to the Rooted in Quality podcast by AfroQuality. Today we are talking about the music industry and the business of doing music on the continent. Raphael Benza, good morning and thank you for joining us on Rooted in Quality.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm happy to be here at AfroQuality in Kigali. Thanks for choosing me.
You are very much rooted in quality as well. We can see your...
Yes, I wish I could actually describe this, but it was made in Dakar, Senegal.
Amazing. Yeah, Dakar, we see you. We see you in Dakar. We're coming for you.
Okay, but the designer is from the Gambia.
Okay.
Lupa is the designer.
Lupa.
Yeah.
Lupa, shout out to you. We are looking to stock your product sometime very soon.
All right, cool.
So, Benza,
yes.
To start off this conversation, tell us, for us who don't know you that much, what's the single biggest lie people tell themselves about success in the music business?
The singer's biggest lie that people tell themselves?
Yes.
You mean as the artists themselves, or from the professional side?
Both ways. So take it first from the artist side, and then from professionals and people working in the music industry.
I think the people in the professional side, the biggest lie that they probably tell themselves is they are doing it for passion.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, that's the biggest lie they tell themselves sometimes, that I'm doing this because of passion. But sometimes we know that it's not about the passion. Some characters are there not for the passion at all, especially when you're working in a machine, which is like a major label. On the artist side, I think the biggest lie that they tell themselves is that, that they're just, it's all about talent, rather than that there's a business behind what we're doing, right? They tell themselves that my talent will be here forever, and people will always appreciate my talent and what I give them, rather than creating a business around the talent that they have.
So, for you as a person and as a businessman in such an industry, if today we strip everything away, the fame, the money, the success, who really is Raphael Benza, or who is Benza at the core? Because from what you've said, I get a sense that the BS around a lot of the things that happen in the music industry, you've mostly seen it. So who is Raphael Benza?
I've been in music for as long as I can remember, in different kind of shape and size. In the beginning, I wanted to be on stage. I wanted to be a performing artist. Then I moved to being assisting other talented people that I think they're during college years. I went to throwing events and parties, and then managing artists and DJing, to being a concert promoter, Then after that, being a record label and a talent management agency and booking and tours. So when it comes to music, I've always been there, but I don't think that's the core of my passion. I think the core of my passion is that I like the process of creation. I like the process of developing. I like the process of seeing something that you plant and grows and flourish, and then nurtures you.
So if I don't describe you as a music mogul, what other word do you think can be used to describe you and it to be apt and very accurate?
I'll probably, from a career or a professional point of view, I'll probably say, um, what's people term me in the business as the chief opportunity creator. So it's about finding opportunities and exploiting the opportunity to the best of our abilities. I will probably want. I think I sit along the side of the creator side rather than business side. I think the business side came because I wasn't able to really fulfill my destiny as a music artist. So the business
The
side
business side came through.
which kept me close to the people who I really enjoy. I really enjoy being around creatives. So I've gravitated to just creative, and I found where I could be most useful to a creative, and that's what I did.
So it's interesting to hear you say this. Do you think that there's always that extra advantage that people who come into creative spaces or like things that relate to talent development on the business side and who tend to do well on the business side but have a background of having been players in that particular space, is there a bias for them to, or an upside they have in succeeding much more?
Yeah. Because you can relate. You're relating to people. I think there is an upside to studying music or being part of music, for you to then say, my responsibility now is to make sure that this person or this talented musician, whether it be a guitarist, pianist, singer, songwriter, that my responsibility is to look after this person. And you come from it's relatable, as opposed to someone who goes to gets a legal degree. We have people in the music industry that are have legal degrees, have marketing degrees, have business degrees, and there is space for them in the industry, but close to the artist is probably not the best place for them to be. And when we find that the more distance they are from the artist, the harder that they get along with the artist, and the harder that they can propel the artist's career.
What do you think most people misunderstand about you?
Me?
Yeah.
What do I think most people misunderstand about me? What do I think people misunderstand? I think I'm quite an open book. I think what a mistake could be that what drives me. I think some people might assume what drives me is the dollar and cents, especially in this music industry. I think that the figure what drives me is the dollar and cents, which is not and has never been my number one goal. We got into this thing not because not because we've worked at a record label and we saw how much money could be made. We didn't get into this thing because we did the business plan and we looked at our 5-year turnover, and we got into this thing because we felt like this is where we belong, and we were a great match for the artists.
So, you were born in Liberia, you lived in the US, you built in South Africa.
Yes, that's a good way of
Which part of you belongs to each place?
Oh, I think at the core, the essence is Liberia.
Okay.
I think I truly belong in Liberia. That's the feeling that I always have. That's always present. The time that I spent in the U.S., I kind of use it as as a learning opportunities. The time I spent in South Africa is what actually developed me as a business person. But you also forgot that I'm also Congolese, so half Congolese.
There's a Congolese in the mix.
There's a
one
Congolese
way.
in the mix, so I think it brings out a bit of flair. It probably brings out a bit of confidence, and yeah, it's. I think also from I think my musical seed was sown by my father. You know, my father was a ambassador attaché to Liberia, so he was the cool kid, or at least the celebrity back then in Liberia. So I found out later that he actually took the same path I took, which I didn't know before, where he was a party promoter or the gala dinner specialist, and then he had a bar, he had a restaurant, and he was the guy who brought the latest music into Liberia. You know, the latest dance, the latest music, and the latest fashion into Liberia. So yeah, so I'm that. So 4 influences.
But you got into the space before you even found out this part of your dad, or it has
Yeah.
always been there?
No, I got into this before finding out. My father left when I was 7, and he died right after that. I was raised in Liberia with my mother, and I only knew my mother and stepfather, so I never really knew about him until I think about a few years ago. My mom told me about that when we had a chance to really talk about my father, when she was more open to talk about. I knew he was an ambassador attaché, but I didn't know what that truly meant. Yeah.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So you school in the US, you do a few gigs here and there, and then you decide to move to South Africa.
Well, we didn't just do a few gigs here and there. We were actually the entertainment arm for Pan Africans, you know, for the diaspora who were in, you know, places like Minnesota, places like New York. So we were the number one DJ crew. We were the number one party with the number one events. We worked with people like Fuji's, Tribe Called Quest. Those were back in the day. And then I moved to New York, and then we also established ourselves as the primary space where Africans who were in New York. Now this is 1996, 97, 99, 2000. We were the kind of like the beacon for Africans who were in New York or in the tri-state area, who have been there for a while, were looking for a place to congregate and enjoy Afrobeat, enjoy the music that the parents are listening to. And then also for people who were just landed. So we were kind of like the welcome committee. When you're just your first time in New York or in the US, you want to know, you know, where do I get my food from? Where do I get my home food? Where do I get my home music? And where do I find people who are similar to me? So we became that welcome committee where we'll get the call as soon as someone lands, say, oh, it's a new person in New York. So cool. Let them come on Thursday night. We at this place, boom. And that's what happened.
So why did you choose South Africa?
I chose South Africa because I had this in the 90s. There was the struggle, and I became a little bit aware of the struggle, just aware of. I became more of a Pan-Africanist, and because we had a few South Africans there as well, they started telling us about the struggle. So I became infatuated with the struggle, the Mandela, ANC. So I started to feel sort of a closeness to it, a connection to it. And then then I met a lady who was Nigerian and Guyanese. Once again, she was introduced to me at the parties that we used to have by another Sierra Leonean friend. And we started to date. And then she got seconded to South Africa. And I was like, perfect. This is exactly what I want to do, go back home and check it out. So we started dating, and I went to South Africa to visit her. And I guess I got the bug. And I loved it, and I decided to stay there for a long time.
But at the time, this was 2011, right?
No, this is way past 2011. This was 2001.
2001.
Yeah.
But at the time, were you there to do music, or it was just because she was there, and then now the music came in later?
Well, first it was because she was going there, but I knew it would be music because that's what people knew me for. So the connection was when I told people I was going to Johannesburg, they would just say, well, you need to meet up with this DJ, you need to meet up with this artist, you need to meet up with these guys who throw events. And that's what I did. I automatically connected with those guys when I landed. So those were my community that I landed into. And then I met Mike Finley, who was running a program that he wanted to have music as part of it. So I ran that for him. And then
In which organization?
It was called Love Life, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah. It's an organization. He was a supplier for to spread the message to the rural area.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So moving back onto the continent, having grown up in Liberia, how was the transition like for you? Was there a big
transition?
A big moment, or for you it was just like reconnecting to a place where you already felt?
Well, I thought South Africa was going to be like a quick stopover. Eventually, I was going to go to Liberia. Okay. That was the goal in the back of my head. The transition wasn't that hard coming from Brooklyn. It wasn't that difficult. It's most people would say Johannesburg is a soft landing.
Because you've been in Brooklyn.
Because you've been in Brooklyn, or just because you come from the US. Mostly because South Africa was much more developed.
Yes, a lot more cosmopolitan.
So it's a soft learning. So it was not a drastic difference in what I was used to.
Now I remember at the time, 2001. That's not too far. Like barely, 7 years? Or yeah, if my math is right, 6 years post Mandela. Those were like
more. I think Mandela came out of prison in 1990. The official election was 1994.
Yes, the election was 94.
Yes.
In 1990. Yeah. So that was like 10 years, 11 years, still early days. And right. I remember those days was a lot of talk about how dangerous South Africa was, the crime. I think there was a point in time, there was a statistic that was blown up in the media that Johannesburg was the most dangerous place in the world outside of a war zone. So with all that around, again, that's why I wanted to know. You just said, okay, I'm still gonna do.
Well,
this.
I guess I was beyond the propaganda, right? So
okay.
CNN and Fox News have always been CNN and Fox News. They always embellish. So I was beyond the propaganda. I didn't really see that. Yes, there was there was violence during the struggle, which happened in like the 80s to the 90s. But when I landed there, no, I didn't feel the tension of violence, and also probably because when I moved to South Africa, I moved to Benmore, which is in Sandton. Okay. So I landed in the suburbia at that time. So
more easier.
Yeah. I mean, but we visited places like Yeoville. We visited places like Norwood, which was more middle class or lower middle class. But no, it was at that time. I think there was a bit of joy and hope and inspiration in the air.
Okay.
Yeah, because it was right after the historic election. It was 2001. Yes, people were more inspired. Yeah, that things were going to be great in South Africa.
Now, for all the years you've spent in South Africa, have you ever felt you needed to prove you belonged?
All the time that I lived in South Africa, I won't say it's something that was always on my mind. I just wanted to prove that I could add value, and just working on adding value, working on amplifying what they already have, enhancing it, was always my goal. So I don't feel like I ever had to prove that I belong.
Now let's zone into the building of Fifth Season.
Okay.
And you call yourself Chief Opportunity Creator.
Yes.
What does opportunity mean to you in practice? Like,
opportunity means to me it's a pathway to the next level. Okay. Right, so I see that as the growth of an artist from an unknown to someone who has attention, to someone who's breaking out, and someone who's made it. Opportunity just helps us as another stepping stone to our targets. So opportunity could be anything as easy as a brand collaboration, or it could be something as being positioned somewhere where you will meet other people and meet the decision makers. Opportunity could be, opportunity could be a chance of selling products at a place where you're not normally seen. Like, for example, if I was a manager of a fashion brand, this would appear as an opportunity to get exposure and opportunity to get to a new audience. Having a store of my clothes in stock in AfroQuality.
Now looking back from the time you started and having the bigness of the ambition to create opportunities as a chief opportunity creator.
Yeah.
Did you imagine, how did you imagine the path versus what the reality was?
When I thought about being a chief opportunity creator, well, it wasn't something that I thought about. It's something that I was doing, and then I realized that actually I needed a title, and if that one's actually suit me the most, because yes, I play the role of a manager. Yes, I play the role of an A&R. I play the role of a record executive, but all I was really doing was maximizing the opportunities for our artists, for our creators to earn income and make a living and support their family. So when I look back at it, in the music industry, I was the master of finding opportunities and maximizing the opportunities, but it never stops. Even to this day, that's basically what I do. The other part of what I do, besides finding the opportunity, it's make sure that I can implement it successfully. And that's very important that people need to know.
Did you ever feel like your capacity or capability was underestimated by outsiders at the time when you were building or on this journey?
I think people didn't now this is the context of South Africa in probably 2009, 2010, when we moved into marketing and management. I don't think South Africans realized that in the urban space that black and brown business owner could exist for independent a successful independent record label and management. So I think yes, we were underestimated to that certain point, but we proved them wrong. And then we became more of an inspiration and a motivation for a lot of them to get into the business.
At what point do you think people started saying, okay, let's set up these guys? Because you did, AKA was like your breakout.
Yeah, it was our first.
Yeah.
First and our breakout artist, yes.
At what point do you think they said, okay, we need to take these guys seriously? They are really going to go continental or global?
Well, actually, I did not know he was going to go continental or global. What I did know about him is that he excited me, and he nourished me with the music that he was making and his personality and his performance, and that was the most important thing. At the point, in the context of South Africa, in 2009 and 2010, it was what you hear on the radio was more Kwaito, was more local language hip hop, and the sound was kind of old, and what I was used to coming from New York was more urban sound, which was more appealing to my ears. So on the radio, you would hear stuff that for me, I thought at least I'd like it, but it's not moving, it's not developed, it's not being innovative. And someone like AKA was creating innovative sounds. He was creating sounds comparable to a US or European rapper. And for me, I loved it, I enjoyed it, and I said to myself, I want more people to hear this. And if I get more people to hear this, it will become a thing. It will make a change, and that's exactly what I did. It was because I wanted more people to hear it because I enjoyed it. And then when we realized then that more people started loving it, it became the sound. It became popular. Then I realized, once again, like let's take it further. Let's take it to Kenya. Let's take it to Tanzania. Let's take it to Ghana. Let's take it to Nigeria. Yeah.
So before I'll come back to that point, but you mentioned Kwaito, and a light bulb went off in my head because I remember those days where there was a lot of push for Kwaito as a genre, and a lot of young people might not even relate or even remember
Kwaito.
that there was. Maybe if you're South African or within the Southern African enclave, you'd still remember. Because I remember those were like even the early days when Channel O was being pushed continental. It was like, I don't know, 80% was just Kwaito on rotation. What do you think happened to the music and the evolution of music in South Africa to the point where today we are sitting with Amapiano?
Well, I think Amapiano took us back to what Kwaito was. so I think what happened to South Africa with the music genre changing, it was just the influence of it was the Western influence from the record label, from maybe from branding, from TV. What changed the music from Kwaito to hip hop was the Western influence. I think people start to look more out, than in there. Right, not to say it was a bad thing. It was just the influence. That generation was looking more outside than in, and that influenced them, right? And then after that, I think in 2009, 2019, 2020, they started going back inwards, and that's when piano took over. Yeah.
So I have a friend. We actually it wasn't a bet, but we talked about Amapiano. And by default, because I knew of the evolution of music in South Africa, and I remember the days of Kwaito, and I have a feeling even in the early days of Afrobeats, those days when you have like, it wasn't even Afrobeat, it was more like hip life in Ghana, and Nigeria had their own genre.
Right.
There was a lot of friction even in the media space to get space for a lot of the music that was coming out of Nigeria and Ghana. And you couldn't even put a lot of those sounds on DSTV or Channel O. I think that at the time was only Channel O. There was no...
We had Channel O.
MTV Base had not come. The other one from the French, Canal Plus, Trace had not come. So it was very restricted and everybody had to be on Channel O.
Right.
And they couldn't get playing time. And I know this because I also started off at the time as a DJ. But when I look at the evolution of the music, would you say that the success of Afrobeat sort of created a segue for Amapiano or Kwaito to become rediscovered? Because it was generally very good music, but it wasn't just connecting with people.
You mean Kwaito?
Kwaito, yes.
Connecting.
Having metamorphosed to what Amapiano is today.
I mean, Kwaito was very organically a South African hood music, township music. So if you were not there and you were not, you went around them and you went eating the food, wearing the clothes, being part of the culture, you probably wouldn't get it. And at that point in time too, we have limited visibility outside of South Africa, right? It was the time before the internet. Well, like let's say streaming. Internet was there, but it was a time before streaming became popular. I think with the advent of streaming, made the music more transferable. So we're very happy that Kwaito existed, but it was limited because of the opportunity to cross border. Afrobeat came at the time where we were starting to scream and we were starting to have the MTV Base and the Trace. So that's what also helped with Afrobeat becoming a global sensation, which then the reinvention of Kwaito, which became Amapiano with a mix of house and Amapiano there, and all the element was already there, right? The internet was there, all the video channels were there, and the relationship had already been built between Nigeria and South Africa, or Tanzania and South Africa, and Kenya and South Africa, and the diaspora was already taking notice of what's coming from home. Yeah.
I think it's a very strong point that now I'm thinking about it and I can actually see, because even some of the dance moves,
Yeah.
as you're talking, I remember my MTV based days and I can remember, and it only makes sense because today when you see how much South Africans groove to Amapiano, it
Yeah.
cannot be something that just happened instantaneously. It's always been in the culture. It's always been in
It's
the
always been there. Yeah, that 4/4 beat, that rhythm, it's always been there. The tempo, it's always been there. It's South African tempo, 112 to 113. That's the tempo of the heart. You know, just like how in Uganda, I think the beat is about 90 to 92. Is the tempo, is the core of the heart. The beat has always been there, and it's really is a it's an African beat.
Now, let's get back again to the building of fifth season.
All right.
I want to delve a little bit into today. If you look back at the business, having built an independent record label, if you are to start today and build, knowing what you know, the evolution of the music and all that, what are the things you do differently?
Well, okay. What I would do differently is first is I won't, as a business, I won't cut my teeth at my own expense.
Okay, yeah, explain that for us.
Which we did in the past. We lost a lot of money in the first 2 or 3 years because we didn't come from a record label background. You know, we were marketers. So we cut our teeth. We lost a lot of money. So what I would probably do differently was probably work at a record label for about 2 or 3 years, learn the ins and outs at their expense. Lose money at their expense.
Yeah, somebody's paying the bills. That's what most young people don't tend to realize when you have to work for somebody.
Yeah, and then go and say I'm going to do that. Yeah, we learned as we went along. Lost a lot of money in the first 2 or 3 years, but that loss of money or loss of it gave us expertise, right? So you can be an expert at something because you win, or you can be an expert at something because you lose and you learn from it. So you have that in the back of your head.
Talking about money in the creative space, for you, what's been the most difficult money decision that you have had to make?
I think the most difficult one is knowing when to trim down or cut your losses.
Okay.
Yeah, I think those have been the biggest for us.
Can you give us an example?
Like when do you know that you've reached your cap on how much you're spending on an artist, because that artist himself doesn't see the dream, doesn't believe in the dream, or is hesitant in the dream, and you don't know when to cut off, because now you spent $300,000. Like, if I cut now, I'm losing all $300,000. Or if he could just stay in there for another year, have a hit record and tour the world, we could make it back. But you can see that the artist is not that type of artist. He's comfortable performing in clubs. He's comfortable where he is, and so he's never going to go further. So knowing when to cut off that, also when to scale down. When your turnover starts to, because it's business, it goes up and down, up and down. Most business owner, big firms know that if there's a big drop in your turnover, you start firing people right away. We didn't do that. The couple of times that we had a big downturn, one most recently was COVID. Yeah. Right, our turnover dropped about 70% because we're an entertainment agency. There was no more outdoor event for us. Brands weren't doing stuff. There were no campaigns. We lost about 70%. But what we did, we retained our staff. Where everybody was chopping. We retained our staff. Looking back at it, I would have had to make the hard call and say, guys, we've lost 70%. Unfortunately, I have to let you guys go. But we didn't do that. So yeah, those are the two learnings.
You know, you talked about sometimes when you have an artist, you're investing in the artist, and you feel like, okay, you've put in some money in finance, or say sunk cost, and because of the sunk cost commitment, so you feel like, okay, maybe I put a little bit more, I might get it back.
Yeah.
But I've had conversations with people in the music industry who feel like sometimes some musicians, they want it much more. Like they want it so badly. There's an example, we can just call names. I didn't want to, but it will make sense. So Burna Boy, as an example, there was a time when he moved to South Africa, he collaborated even with AKA, your artist.
Yeah, AKA will probably, I would still say that he made Burna Boy.
Wow, okay.
Well, at least he made Burna Boy in South Africa.
He made Burna Boy in South Africa.
But no, he actually did, the rest of the continent, because even those two songs they were breakout songs for Burna.
For Burna,
Yeah, Burna was in the music video. The video did well. It won awards on BET and so on. And for a while, when Burna went on tour after he left South Africa, those two songs were in his catalog of music. Yeah. I remember I have friends in Uganda, friends in wherever he toured, Ghana, and say, "Oh, Burna's playing your song. Burna's playing your song." So he did.
Yeah.
So he did. So but it came, Burna AKA came natural because there was such.
They had a vibe.
Yeah, musically they are so aligned. Musically they're so aligned, and that's a good thing about true artists. A true artist can recognize a true
Somebody
artist.
who has it.
Oh, true, yeah.
So picking on that, so the question I was asking, because the example the person gave after Burna Boy, AKA, there was a point when Burna Boy even moved to Ghana and lived with Shatawale as well. So you could see that this is an artist or a musician who wants it so badly, and is ready to do all the groundwork. So today you can look at him up there and you would think it's an accident, but he had actually been underground, on the streets, scraping, just trying to get his act and his skill out there.
Yeah.
So what do young musicians miss? Or is it that some of these stories don't get told enough?
I think some of these stories don't get told enough. They see the glorified story and they want to skip right to it. They don't see Wiz, sleeping on couches in New York, in Brooklyn. They don't see Wiz waiting in line, when he's even like the opening act for another performer in the States. They don't see him waiting in line to get into the club and not having a bottle when he's there. They don't see Wiz. I think Wiz performed in South Africa. He opened up. I think he paid to open up for Snoop Dogg.
Wow.
They don't see that, right? So they see all the glory story. Burna also stayed in a garage, in someone's couch when he was in South Africa for a long time. Even though he had big songs in Nigeria, they weren't in South Africa.
So he had to start. Keep his head down and just grind.
Yeah. So we don't see those stories. I think if we tell more of those stories of where they're from, how they make it, I think people, the younger audience or the younger artists would start to understand that it is a grind. It is a grind, but don't get disappointed just by where you are, because in any moment you could be somewhere else.
So since you've brought in the AK conversation, let's zone in a little bit more on that part of your life. Most people know AK, but they never knew the machine that was behind him. God rest his soul. I discovered him and I was like, okay, this is a new sound. That's another. For you worked with AK throughout all the iconic phases of his career. What's the side of him that the public never saw?
Oh, well, that's hard to say, because Keenan, rest his soul, he was such an expressive guy. So everything there was nothing that he hid, right? He was a very funny guy, but I think everybody knows that because he was funny on social media. He was a controversial guy. He was a girl's dad, but everybody saw that because he also showed his relationship with his daughter. I think the only thing that people may not know is that it's politics. He was very much
politically conscious.
Pan-African conscious as well. And not a lot of people, I've said, knew that. He sometimes shared that on social, but because politics is politics, he didn't go all out. So people have seen it, and it's also in his lyrics sometimes, because we have conversations about world affairs. We had conversations about Gaddafi. We had conversation about Kwame Nkrumah. We have a conversation about Chris Hani, real political Pan-African stuff. But he didn't share a lot of that, only in his lyrics or once in a while a tweet. So I'll probably say that.
Why did that happen? Because you'd have expected. Okay, I don't know. I would have loved to have known a part of a musician like.
Well, because I don't think musicians worry that if they share that, they will polarize or they will be,
Okay.
Yeah. So if you have something negative to say about Cyril Ramaphosa, you don't necessarily
Want to
say it out loud because you worry about burning bridges or relationships.
It's a very tricky or slippery area to be in now. Like if you look currently what's happening, but we've seen a lot of musicians come out very strongly.
If AKA was around now, he will be. I think that we're at a stage where it makes sense now for you to come out. Yeah, you might get criticized by some, but you also get praised by a lot.
So he probably would have been on the flotilla.
He would probably have been on flotilla. He would probably be living in Nigeria right now. Funny story, we actually lost AKA in Nigeria once. Yeah.
Okay. Now I want to hear that story.
No, you have to wait for that. You have to wait for the Netflix story on me. One time we went to Nigeria for a show. And this was time when he was like dating one of the hot girls from South Africa. So he was like, "No, Benza, do we have to go? I've just started this relationship." He was like, "No, I don't want to go." I said, "Okay, let's go." We go for like 3 days max. 3 days. But I got to come back to my baby. And I was like, okay, cool. We'll go for 3 days. We went for the award. We picked up our awards. The night before we were to leave, he went to hang out with Burner.
Okay.
They left me at the hotel. They went, and I said, "You know what? Tomorrow, we take the flight at 3:00. We got to go. And Nigeria, we have to leave the hotel at 11.
And then you have an escort to take you to the airport.
Yeah. So 7:00 comes, 8:00 comes, knock on the door, 9:00. I can't find AK anywhere, and our flight leaves at 3:00. So we're looking for him everywhere. I can't find. Nobody knows where he is. We call, his phone's off, burner phone is off, and we just can't find this guy. A whole day passed. The next day, his mother is calling me like, where's Kenan? You're supposed to be back. I was like, yeah, we're doing some business in Nigeria. So I'm not gonna tell her I've lost your son. I was like, no, we're doing some business in Nigeria. We're gonna spend another couple of days, and we'll be there. We'll be there. Another 24 hours passed. Can't find AKA. We're worried. We're concerned. Then he turns on his phone and he sends me a picture. He's with Burner. He's been with Burner for the last 3 days. They're in like the full fella setup.
Wow.
Where they're in just a brief, smokes and weeds everywhere, like women are everywhere. And the last 3 days he's been in the hood, at Burner's hood.
Yes, trying to get inspiration.
Yeah, I don't know what's inspiration or he just got lost there.
Wow.
Yeah. So he sent me that picture. I can never get that picture out of my mind because I was worried for 3 days. Like, what the fuck? How am I going to tell the parents? They're already concerned about Nigeria, and I have to tell them their sons got kidnapped in Nigeria.
Now, on that, so for you, as on the business side of things, what's the hardest part of managing artists when now he's your friend and then it collides with business?
I think it's as a learning to the young managers and record label exec that's coming up. I think it's letting them understand the sacrifice that you're making for them. We tend to not want to do that. We tend to just feel like it's our job. The advice would be let them know. So you can, you sacrifice for your own family, your daughters and your sons and your mother, but you don't tell them, you know what, I just sold my Range Rover so that I can pay your way to college. You don't really say it. You just like, here's your money for college. Yep. Because that's what I'm supposed to do. And you want to do that for your artists as well. You sell your Range Rover and you're now driving a Toyota and the money that you made, you
Push his album or
people push his album, make a nice video that's going to take us to the next level or pay for a tour, and you don't tell them that that's what I've done for you. So that's what I would tell the new ones. Like, tell them, like, listen, I'm going to sell my car because I believe in your dream, and the money that I make to sell the car is a sacrifice, and I'm investing that into you. You know, so you either end up paying it back to me with interest, or you give me a little bit higher of a percentage because I'm sacrificing. Yeah.
You have another artist that's more like your second most successful artist. I hope I get the name right. Amapiano.
Amapiano. I will also I love what I've done with Trezor.
Okay.
Yeah, Trezor. You probably won't know Trezor that well because Trezor is a pop star.
Okay.
The first black pop star really in South Africa. He's Congolese. He won Best Pop Artist at the South African Music Awards 3 years in a row.
Okay.
For every album he puts out, he won the best. And currently, he's taken a backseat from performing live or releasing albums, but he's been a writer. So for the last 3 years, he's been writing for Drake, for Tim's. He has he's currently doing the Fally Ipupa's album. So I do see him as one of my biggest partnership that I've done. Ami is also very successful, but people tend to forget about Trezor.
Yeah. So now when you look at the journeys of all these different musicians that you have in your portfolio, what did it teach you? Or what, maybe let me put the question differently, like if you take Trezor and Amapiano's journey, what are they teaching you that AKA's journey didn't teach you?
It's the every person and every artist in this case has a history of where they come from, the trauma that comes with where they come from. And that's something you need to keep in mind when you're working with them. AKA colored South African from Cape Town, mother, father, split up, moved to Joburg, went to a private school. So his journey is different than Amapiano's journey. Amapiano, come from a rural township, like lower in status than Soweto, and her upbringing with no mother, no father, also affected her. So the way you treat someone like an AKA from a personality side and character side, because it's built differently than the Amapiano. So the learning there is know know the history of the artist, the trauma that person has, the reservations that they have, the concerns that they have from their own personal experience, their own personal history.
When you're describing AKA, you described him as colored. This part of the podcast, if you're uncomfortable with it, we'll cut it out.
Okay.
But there's this recent controversy about Tyra.
Yeah.
And she seems to be having it very bad in the USA, especially within the African American community, because she insists on describing herself as colored, and it seems to be very tone deaf. If you look at the feedback coming from consumers and all that. I don't know, this whole racialization of an artist and trying to put them in a box. What do you think?
Well, first of all, I don't really pay too much attention into social media. Everyone's trying to be a star. Everyone's trying to get attention. Everyone's trying to get likes. So I don't really pay attention to that. Their culture, and they identify as colored, and that is what they identify as. And for now, that's what we have to respect and call them. If you're colored, you're colored. AKA probably call themselves colored. Tyler probably call herself a colored. I call myself Liberian. I don't probably call myself black because I think it's just a color or brown, but I'm Liberian and an African. Yeah.
Okay. Now, going back to where we were looking at, like an artist, the journey. Do you have, or let me put it differently, for you when you look at a new artist, are you able to tell that, okay, I think this one has it? Based on the years of
just like a doctor can analyze you without doing any X-ray and figure out what's wrong with you.
This could be.
Yeah, I can do that now. I've been around for a very long time in the business, about 16 years. I've dealt with a lot of different artists, and I can give you two cases. One is Shoma Josie. I had the opportunity to sign Shoma Josie. She came into my office. They were ready to sign, but I felt like it's not someone that I would gel well, or that I would love seeing her perform, or love seeing her story continues. And I didn't feel like it's someone who was sustained for a very long time, so I turned it down. There are other artists that I had opportunity to sign, but I also walked away from. So yes, I can see that. Some of them became, one-hit wonders. Some of them became, good artists, but I didn't see myself working with them.
What's been your most painful lesson applying that instinct? Maybe on the side where you didn't see an artist and then they surprised you and they became like a breakout long-term success.
Who now? Who would it be? That I didn't see that they could be?
Yeah, you had the opportunity, you didn't take it, but then now they ended up.
Oh shoot! I think we have to come back to that one because I don't remember seeing it, because we are very boutique, artist-friendly sort of agency. So we were never had an open edition for everybody.
Okay.
The people who I worked with, I actually sorted them out.
Okay.
Yes, yeah. It wasn't like, and it was because we were more behind the scenes than in front of the artist. No one knew our name before the artist. The artist's name was always important. So when I was out at events or showcase, no one came to
look for you.
To look for me.
Nobody knew who you were.
Yeah. So, but when I did see something or see someone, then I made it. And I'll probably say 95% of the people who I did love and did think I could do something with, when I approached them, we did work together.
Okay. Mm-hmm. What do you think breaks artists or musicians on the continent? Is it lack of talent or commitment, lack of money?
You mean to make him a breakout star, or
no,
just
what breaks them when they've started?
Discourages them.
Yeah, discourages them, like kills everything inside them.
I think you say lack of money. That's definitely one. Lack of, sometimes they see lack of immediate gratification. I think they're also hoping that it will happen like this.
Happen overnight.
Yeah. And I think it's lack of support from their, the Ministry of Arts and Culture or the government. I think that's some of the things that I think discourages them a lot. Those are the three things I think that discourages an artist, and also probably not getting better, not getting into the rooms that make you a better artist.
Do we set the bar too low? Because then when you read the stories of some of the breakout, very solid international musicians, the amount of time and commitment that they spent on the road, should that be cut short? Because when an artist is coming out of the continent, there's no fallback, or there's no safety net. So you want the success to come instantly. Whereas if you genuinely look at musicians who've made it around the world, because maybe they are from environments where the safety net exists, they can afford not to earn a salary for the 5 years and still be on the road and keep grinding until they break out.
Yes. I think the barrier entry it's already low. It's not our fault that is low. The internet, the barrier to releasing music is very low. Getting to studio is also very low. The technology helps you get into studio and make yourself sound professional. But what comes along that is the knowledge that yes, you may have a hit record. It doesn't mean that you have a long career just because you have a hit record. I also think that you're right about the foundation of the support is not there like it is in the European countries where you have other ways of earning incomes, or you have some protective regulations that helps you, copyright laws and so on and so forth. I don't think it's a low barrier from that point of view, but I think it's either lack of interest or lack of knowledge from our government to understand that that's what you need for a thriving creative industry. Is the support from the government, the laws, the regulations, the copyright law, and then just the financial support, right? I don't think we've been left alone, to fight and struggle, right? Where no other industry has been left alone. Tourism has not been left alone to fight and struggle, right? The medical field has not been left alone to fight and struggle to make a way. But for us in the creative space, it seems like we've been left alone to fight and struggle. But there are certain countries who have now realized it. South Africa is one of them. Nigeria is one of them, and then Rwanda as well. It's one of them. That's really like the light bulb has shined. Like, with our support, just like we helped develop the farming industry with our regulation and rules and trade, just like we helped develop the medical by building hospitals and special care, just like we help with education by building schools or supporting those who want to build schools. We need to help with the creators industry.
Mm-hmm. Now, looking at how brutal and how difficult the industry is, most of the times you find an act talented and then you invest and then they
brutal, you said?
They bounce, or it's more than brutal. Have you ever thought of leaving? Like you said, like, look, I'm done with this, man.
Leave this. Have I ever thought of leaving? Unfortunately, I'm not a good quitter. Okay. So I've never really thought of leaving until recently. So recently, it's not necessarily leaving. It's mostly it's repositioning myself.
Okay.
Right. So I don't feel like I'm gonna leave music and leave entertainment or leave the creative space, but I'm gonna reposition myself to be someone who's there to amplify the artist's career, to work on the professionalizing the music scene in the continent. I kind of see myself as the new opportunity creator, but managing and implementing opportunities for the artists. Now, also, it won't be artists that are only signed to our label, so it's not a condition to sign. I can easily work with a government institution to find and seek opportunities and create an ecosystem for the artists. I can work with an organization that loves the creative space and want to see it flourish, want to see it professionalize, want to see job creation from it, so I can work alongside them, consult with them, and then also implement whatever campaigns or strategy that we put together. So quit, I might move away from being the actual investor to an artist's career financially, but I won't quit from sharing my network, my relationship, and my knowledge with that.
Okay. In line with repositioning, you faced a lot of criticism around royalties, transparency. These are things that happen in the music industry. How do you personally define fairness in artist contracts?
Well, in today's world, I think our contract have always been artist-friendly contract. If you were to be exposed to the percentage that we share with the artists, it's actually much better than any other label, be it major or other independent label. So I think people will be shocked if I ever expose the percentage split that we give. It's quite fair. It's quite good. I think some of the things to be concerned about would be, your royalty splits, your termination clauses, the targets for your renewal, for the relationship with the record label. Those are kind of things that you should look at in the contract. What else? The usage of your copyright. Like sometimes they will say, be careful when they say, whatever music you deliver to us, you cannot duplicate or remake for sometimes I would say 10, 12, 15 years.
Okay.
You try to limit that to 3 because first of all, you got to get the record label opportunity to make some money.
Monetize it,
Yeah, but after 3 or 4 years, whether they make money or not, that's up to them. They've had 3 or 4 good years to do that. If they don't, you should be able to re-record
Remix
that
it,
or remix it or do what else with it because that copyright, that publishing copyright it's yours. Yeah. So those are the points in an agreement that I will emphasize to an artist or artist manager to look out for, and we're willing and we're very open to help them with that label services, that management services. They can call me anytime for that.
Do you think the African music industry is ready for true financial accountability? Like, because those are the pillars that can actually create structure for an industry. But I don't know if in there from the business side, there's somebody with the analytics and the numbers and everything.
There you go. Well, no, the analytics and the numbers, they do exist. I think the 2 things that are missing is the artist's willingness to see themselves as a business, to analyze the numbers, and then 2, we haven't professionalized the accounting service, right?
Okay.
We've managed to do that in SA. When I say we, as in our business. Okay. So we can give you monthly recon, quarterly recon, yearly recon, whatever the conditions are, whatever it says in the clause, to provide those numbers for you. But there's only 1 or 2 accounting services that do that. There are a couple of individuals who are starting that business to do the financial accounting, but an artist needs to understand those people who are providing that service to you, it comes with a fee. Okay. Yeah, and if you don't want to pay for that service, then you're not going to get it. If you feel like it takes too much from the income that you make or whatever that you might think, if you pay, $1,500 or $2,000 to an accountant to do your numbers, that takes away the money that you will buy a Louis Vuitton this or Nike this, then that's your call, right? But its service is there. And with technology, it's getting easier and easier and easier to do for the accounting service. So,
if the public knew like all the ins and outs of what it takes to structure a deal, would they be shocked? Like a music deal?
I think they'll only be shocked because they haven't been exposed to it. But it's quite logical. It makes sense. It's the same way if you were striking a deal to buy a franchise. It's the same deal that if you were striking a deal to invest or someone to invest into your shop as a designer. It's the same deal. It's just that people are not aware of it, and it's not something that's talked about. People are going on the hype of maybe the artist crying or someone's complaining that this is that and this is not. But we find that even in South Africa, people have more knowledge of what is in a record deal now. So when an artist goes online and says, "I was cheated here," the audience tend to say, "Okay, well, let's wait and see the other side. Show us the contract. Show us what you're doing." Because sometimes it's come out just recently as well. Another artist, well, 2 artists in South Africa went online complaining about they never got this, never got that. It turns out that they did.
Why is it so rampant in the music industry? Because recently, I think about 3-4 weeks ago, I picked up on a blog somewhere that even there was somebody going after Tyler for something he had done on her breakout song,
Tyler.
Water.
Yeah.
She had a song Water, and the guy said he had done some work on the studio work.
Yeah.
Why is it so rampant in the music industry?
Well, I don't know if I won't say it's rampant because that's probably 1% of the complaints. So I won't say it's rampant. It's just about it because it's on social media. I think in that case was that he felt like he wasn't credited for the publishing. So either it could be when the publishing document was going around, he ignored it.
Okay.
And so he didn't sign. Right? And if you don't sign the paperwork that's going on, either you don't sign, Or when you were in studio, you did not inform your manager that I'm going into studio with these guys, we're going to make the song. And when you're done making the song, you didn't send that to your manager or send that to your publisher and say, hey, we worked on this song last night and I put the guitar on there, I put the horns on there, I put this on that, and so I want 15% of the publishing. If you didn't acknowledge that to your publisher or to your manager, then who's to blame when the other guys did it and register and got their percentage?
Is it that maybe there are some players in the music industry who know that the average person out there who consumes music would not care about some of the nitty-gritties of the mechanics or the business side of things? So even when they know that they might not be in the right, they still want to go out there for just sympathy from the public?
Yeah, I think it's mainly
because thinking about it.
Yes, it's sympathy. Yes, I think it's mainly sympathy, and hopefully they're hoping that it will draw enough attention that they will get what they want or what they feel like they deserve.
Or they will smear you enough that to save face, you just want to cave in.
Yes.
Because there was also a very nasty incident, I think it was Lauryn Hill, with one of her albums. I think it was her one and only album. Yeah. She had a big issue with a whole team of people.
Yeah. So she didn't, either her or a publisher didn't credit all the contributors. Right, and so the contributors sued her for not including them on the publishing side of it. Yeah, so that's what happened there.
So for you, what's been your most brutal business lesson, being the one who is supposed to actually get the business side right?
My most brutal. I don't think I've. I don't think I have a brutal experience.
Okay, maybe let me put it differently. A brutal experience that relates to a fallout with an artist.
Yeah, just that sometimes an artist could have their own agenda and leave that as a secret from you, right? And as a manager, if your artist has his own agenda and doesn't share that with you, that could cause a lot of conflicts. And we've had that with one or two of our artists, that they had their own agenda. And then also, we did not explain to them all the different parts that we play in your life. So someone might see that, okay, we're managing the record label on your behalf. We did the marketing for the music, where the music is now growing. We've spent some money on boosting it and ad. Now, all of a sudden, you get a call or inbox on your IG from someone in Japan. Well, you're probably going to assume they contacted me, so it's me they love. That should be my money, rather than say, well, it's the work that
has been done.
That work has been done that blew me up. It's the guy who put, 1,000 rand or 2,000 rand in your YouTube ad for Japan. Now it's playing in Japan. They're interested in you in Japan. They call you, because that's how they're going to contact you. They don't know that who's your manager is. They don't know who your record label is. They will contact you on IG, on your personal DM. And then you think, these people contacted me.
So the record label is not doing anything?
The record label is not doing anything. The manager is doing anything because it came to me. And then I responded back to them and I said, yeah, I want $5,000 or I want $10,000. And they're like, cool, we take that. And then you say, I've done it all.
So with all the glitz and the hype and the egos around the music and showbiz sector, how do you measure integrity for you? Like,
for me?
Yes. What is your litmus test?
For me,
yes.
it's my it's my daughters. As long as they feel that the father is not sus, as they call it, or foncon, these new words that they say. As long as they don't feel that way about me, I feel like my integrity is intact. Is that they're my measuring. Right? I remember one time I was having a fallout with an artist. Actually, I would say it's Trezor. So Trezor knew my daughters because there was a time he couldn't have an apartment of his own, so he moved in with us. He stayed in the other room. So my children calls him Uncle Trezor because he stayed with us. And then we had a little bit of a fallout one day I was driving with them, and he called, and I just didn't want to speak to him. Like, phone kept ringing. Then my daughter's like, answer Uncle Tresor's phone. Papa, that's sus. Why are you not answering? I was like, oh yeah, you're right. Okay, cool. Then I answered it. So they keep me in check. As long as they feel that I'm fair, that helps me with my integrity. That's all I need.
Where do you see the next big act coming out from on the continent?
I actually honestly feel like it's gonna come out of East Africa.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me sit up.
I feel it's coming from East Africa, but
tell me more.
But they have to galvanize as a unit. The countries in East Africa has to galvanize as a unit, and they need to professionalize. Once that happens, with additional government support, it can come from here. The talent is here, man. The talent is here. We've had songwriting camps. Amazing talent. The music that we got out of that songwriting camp, we went in 4 days, in 4 different rooms. We created about 40 songs with 30 different artists. It's there. It's here. It just needs guidance. It needs professionalizing, and they need to galvanize and work as a unit. Those 30 artists we had, they all came from 8 different countries, and they were happy to work together. And great music was made.
So I sat up when you said East Africa.
Yes.
Because I have a personal experience, like having traveled the continent.
Yeah.
And I've been amazed, coming from Ghana, the kind of music or the amount of music that I've had to consume on the east and even southern part of the continent.
Right.
And this is music that you don't hear anywhere. Like there was a time back in the days when I was in Mauritius and I discovered Zimbabwean music. And there's so much music, but somehow people never break out. Like there's a guy in Malawi, I heard his song. Every time I hear his voice, I get goosebumps. So there's so much music.
Yeah, Africa is creative. Africa is talent. This is where it comes from, right? This is where it started.
But my biggest worry is that you don't get a lot of breakouts coming from Eastern and maybe the upper part of Southern Africa. Right. As music icons that become Pan-African and global. Yeah. And I've struggled with trying to understand that. I have my own theory about why.
I think it's cyclical, isn't it? It's cyclical.
You believe it's cyclical?
Yeah, the time is now. The time is coming.
It's coming.
It did its Southern African thing. It's done its West African thing. Now it comes to East Africa. But like I said, the East African have to galvanize, right, amongst themselves. They have to galvanize as a culture. Like, what are they selling to the world as a culture? We do have some bright stars. We have Joshua Barakov, we have The Ben, we have Chris Easy, we have Salty Soul with Bien, we have Bukuru. We have different talent here, massive, great talent that they have to galvanize, and they also have to professionalize, and the government needs to really take them seriously, to create platform and infrastructure for them to develop here and sell the music to the world. Not that junk was bringing international, organizations here, like the Grammy, like the,
Grammy now,
like
thinking
the
about
Move,
Kenya.
No, that's not what we need. We don't need those people to come in and take out. We need it to be developed here, grow here, so they can come to us. So when they come to us, they're not only taking back, what they learned here, the friendship, the relationship, the food that they learned, but the food that they eat. They also, they become our word of mouth. They become our PR, and then also they leave behind some cash, some skills development.
So I have a theory around this, and maybe we'll stay a little bit on this.
All right,
because
we're going to be a 3-hour.
I have a theory around what I call consumption as capital or consumption as infrastructure,
right,
where you want to create the appetite to consume. So for what we're building in AfroQuality, for instance, is a big pillar to say, we say Africa is the future, but Africa is the future, or is going to be the future for other people's products if you don't begin to build the appetite and the consumption for African products now.
Absolutely.
So it's the same principle for me when I look at music, because when I look at the evolution of music and what we see today, whether it's Kwaito, whether it's Afrobeat, whether it's Amapiano, there's always been a central point where there's a lot of consumption that brings it out. Now, when I spend a lot of time in the clubs, I'll use Kenya as an example. It's amazing. You can be in a club for 3 hours and it's all R&B and dancehall and very little even Kenyan music.
Kenyan music, yeah.
So what are the structures that need to change? And I really want you to have a no holds barred conversation about what you think need to change to be able to begin to build that traction for a lot of the talent that sits within East Africa. And
I think it's eternalized. Look inside and respect and appreciate what's inside. We need the radio to play a part. We need the radio to be heavily localized. You know, I think in Nigeria at one point they had 80% local and 20%, and look what that did for the consumption. Same thing has to happen here, Kenya, whatever else. It has to be the government once again saying, here's our format regulation. You have to play 60 or 75% East African music.
That would be difficult.
Why?
Because music, people want to play what people want to listen to.
People have access to Spotify. They have access to
exactly. So if the person is listening to music on Spotify or any other streaming app, and now I'm a radio station, if I don't play with the trends, then I'll be playing music and nobody will be listening to me.
Not necessarily. But remember, it comes from the directive from the government. I mean, would you say that? To this day, I think Nigeria still has that to this day. Do you think it's really affecting the radio in Nigeria? No.
Well, because now their music is big and everybody plays it, so now it's easier.
But yeah, exactly.
It's easier now.
Exactly. So you have to start. You have to start somewhere.
How about collaborations? Because I've become very big on cross-cultural collaborations.
Right.
Because I discovered, for instance, Sauti Soul because of collaborations.
Right. Correct. Yeah. Collaboration is very key. We've been doing that forever. I think what made AKA a household name was because of the collaboration. He was quite unprecedented back in 2012, 2013. We were doing collaboration with the likes of Diamond. We were doing collaboration with the likes of Wiz and Burner way back then, before it was cool. But it helped build the ecosystem, help build the industry. I still believe collaboration. I believe playing our music mainly on public radio stations so that people can learn to appreciate it. You know, radio program is there for a reason. It's called program for a reason. It's programming you. And if it's programming you to like Drake, it's going to program you to like Drake and Summer Walker. But if it's programming you to like Chris Easy, it program you will like it. And you would turn to radio for that.
What do you think is also the role of language, or the language within in which the music is made, and whether it can easily cross borders? And I'm asking this question because of maybe a follow-up thought from the experience in Ghana.
No, I mean, we've had lots of hit records in African countries that don't speak a lot of English, right? You know, we've had a lot of African records blow up in other regions without English or without French or without Swedish, without whatever. I don't believe it holds a lot of weight. I think if your rhythm is good and your sound is good and you really harness your creativity into the record, and you make the music and the sound and rhythm palatable to the ears of the people, I don't think the lyrics is a big one. You know?
Okay. So I remember in the early days of hip life in Ghana before Afrobeats, and there was a lot of conversation around guys need to start singing in pidgin, because a lot of singing in Ghana was done in the local languages, in Tree. And people look back today and say one of the reasons why Nigeria was able to break up, and if you look at the core sound behind Afrobeats, the 5-beat tempo.
Yeah.
It's Palogo, which is like very native in Ghana.
Right.
But one of the reasons was that a lot of the music that was coming out of Ghana was in the local language, so it couldn't cross borders. But with Pidgin, it became relatable across borders. And one guy actually gave me an example where you would have, when it comes to the mixing of the local language with the Pidgin, a Nigerian song would have English line and a local language. You would assume it's a Nigerian local language, only to figure out that, oh, they actually put in a line from Shona or a line from some other African language. So when the song goes out there, it's in English, and then there's a line that I can relate to sitting somewhere in East Africa or sitting somewhere in Sierra Leone. And that allowed the music to travel across borders.
I think the Nigerian story is a much bigger story
Nuanced
than the music. Yeah, the diaspora, how many of them plays a role. When they went with music, they went with their food, and also spread the culture. I think someone needs to do a real analysis on how the Nigerian music made out there. I think it's way beyond using Pidgin.
Okay.
You know, it felt like there was an intent to cross border, and we were doing it with different styles. We were doing it with our music, we're doing it with our food, we're doing it with our clothes. You know, it's like going to war and you're using platoon, brigades, army, navy all together. And I think that's what Nigeria
got right.
It wasn't just the music.
So before we close out on this section of the discussion, we talked about the money aspect, the contracts, the agreement, and all that. Monetizing music now has become very complex and difficult. Streaming changed everything,
Right.
not just in Africa, globally. But has it worked for African musicians?
Yes, I believe so. I believe it has worked. It's taken you to spaces that you would not necessarily. Would have taken you maybe a few months to get there. So right now, you release the music, it can be played in Finland. At the same time, it's played in Hawaii, and same time it's played in Ethiopia. Right? It's like blaming. Airplanes when they first came. You know, like yes. You know, but now you have an airplane. You can actually go further and faster. So are you going to take advantage of it, or are you going to be afraid of it? I think the internet got our music quicker and faster to different places. Now it's up to you to take advantage of your new community that you're building up.
But there's been a lot of criticism, even within a lot of the musicians, independent musicians who've raised issues with streaming and questions about the ethics of it, some of the frameworks that are set up for musicians to give a bigger chunk of their rights because the streaming company wants to take that to allow them to promote it.
There's no ethics there. It's a business. They're not setting up.
Nobody's about to massage your egos.
Morals. There's no being a good human. Those guys are in it for business. So yes, the split that artists get, the split that independent record label get, it's small. It's pennies. It's not something that you can build a career on. You know, unless you're sitting at 60 million streams or something like that. Even that, the money that you see, you don't really know how it's calculated. It's whatever magic that they're using. However, if you have 3 million or if you're 5 million, and the sources where those music are coming from, you then need to make sure that you amplify or you market to those, and you will get those much quicker than you got them before. We have another artist that we work with called Jay Zeno.
I know Jay Zeno.
Yeah, Jay Zeno had a hit song, "Butter My Bread." It's exploded by Europeans doing dance challenge. Right? This guy from Liberia, based in Ghana, he managed to do a European tour before doing like Sierra Leone or.
So, Benza, right now looking at the industry, how it has evolved and everything that's happened, and your years of experience, if you have to redesign the African music industry tomorrow, what would you touch first, or what would you fix first?
What would I fix first? Um, if I could really go way back, I would probably fix the mentality of our parents. To not let them think that there's no career, there's no life in music and arts. Not to see it only as a little entertainment. If I could go back, I think, and that's as soon as we turn that around, as soon as we turn that our parents I believe in that the sons and daughters can actually have a career. So now they're starting to see that. They're starting to see what a multimillionaire burner is. They see how a multimillionaire Maparisa is. They see that happening. You don't have to be a doctor or a lawyer or a banker to make the same amount of money. So they're now being convinced. You have Burner Mom in the trenches with him. You see that also in South Africa, where Caesar fathers in the trenches with him. So you start to see that more. We have, even dealing with Rwandese artists now, you will see that they are getting more family support from the DJs to the singers and so on. Once you start to see that, then you see more belief in the artists, and that will help.
Fixing that side of the business.
It's not necessarily the business. It's the culture
of the industry.
It's the culture and the society. Okay. Society plays a role. Right? Society plays a role on everything. If there's a negative connotation to a certain thing that we do, it will not flourish.
I'm stuck on the financing side of it, and
I know why. Because of your financial background.
Because I have a finance background. Yeah. But more so, I think I'm stuck between, are there enough examples to trigger them to see that, they're leaving money on the table? And I'm thinking, because recently there was the news about what happened with Don Jazzy's record label and he being able to cash out and the amount of money that it's reported to be the deal. And I'm like, so is that not enough evidence, if at all, for people with money, whether VCs, angel funds, or financial institutions, to want to consider to say, let's professionalize and support the creative industry in a way that can make it?
Yeah, no, we have. We have that influx, or at least that awareness right now. We have a lot of VCs, other businesses that are trying to either come in from a catalog point of view, or buying our catalog point of view, or investing in a record label, or investing in like a entertainment agency. We have that. That is coming now. It's how they're doing their multiples and how they're doing their valuation. I think most of them come from a finance background, so they're able to look 10 years or 12 years down the line, and everything that they have seen, it's a positive return. So we do have that coming from VCs, individuals. I mean, you see what's happening with Afro Nation, and how those guys who invest in Afro Nation is investing in infrastructure. They're also investing in probably management agencies. So yeah, that is not something, it's something that has been shown upon in the past, but from the example I just given you of those guys who have made it. You mentioned Don Jazzy. I mentioned Maparisa and his label with Kapsa, and so on and so on.
So talking about the money side, I brought it up, but I want to push the envelope a little bit, because
let's do
on this podcast we tend to want to go behind the curtain to the real issues. So there's also been a lot of talk, and people who've believed that, especially in the African entertainment space, a lot of the money that has come into the space has not necessarily been very clean money.
Very clean money.
Yes, that people would use it for a lot of investment in concerts and events and all that.
Okay, no, I'm not aware of that. That's never happened. That's never come into my sphere. I think probably because maybe they can see my character, and probably con men are con men. They know who the victims are. Same thing with gangsters. The gangsters know who their collaborators can be, and I think they don't see that with me. And so that has never happened to me. Even when I was in the clubbing business, right? That never. I had 3 or 4 clubs back in 2006 to 2011, and not once did I get approached for Washington.
But have you heard, for instance, maybe you hear of a big event and then later it's like, wow, this was just
I can believe it
facade?
happens. I can believe it happens. I can believe that is one process of laundering money, just like there are so many other ones. But it's nothing that I can attest to. It as no firsthand on my side.
So looking at this industry with all the shenanigans that potentially could go on, when you sit down making decisions every day, you're making decisions about an artist, you're making decisions about the business side of things. Should I do this show? Should I invest in this event and all that? Who do you go to when you are unsure about something?
Who do I go to? I normally on the business side is my friend Stefan Bakira. I go to him because he's head of a fund, so he gives me the breakdown from a financial point of view. Like the return on investments, your funds. If you're going to give someone a loan, what collaterals to hold. So I go to him and also Acha Leki are 2 people who I turn to for financial advice. And then I also turn to Chow, mainly because, she's like a more personal advisor would use the soft power to actually figure out if the person who I'm dealing with has a good energy and a good vibe. Right, and that's also very important. You don't want to be taking a sweet deal from someone who's a corrupt individual.
Do you ever separate the human Raphael or the human Benza from the businessman Benza working in such a fluid industry?
No, I don't think I don't, at this point in time it's very hard to do because I've been an entrepreneur for so long. I don't know how not to be an entrepreneur. So I'm always looking for opportunities, no matter where I am. So I don't say that I'm always looking as in like the cold hard business, but I look at how can this now be something that I implement into my business to make it worthwhile. So business sometimes it sounds so cold and hard and and backstabbing and all that other stuff. So I'm not that kind of a character. I'm more a creative industry person, and being a creative myself, it's very difficult. There is quite a congruence, between myself personally and the business that I was lucky enough to run and enjoy.
You've hinted on like backstabbing and all the shenanigans that possibly
that you financial people do
could go on. Not
Yes.
we financial people, I'm a businessman. I'm an entrepreneur. But thinking about it, how have you handled betrayal?
Betrayal. How have I handled betrayal? Well, I think I've handled betrayal by, I guess, eventually cutting out the individual that's betrayed me. I don't think I've stood low enough to like betray them back or backstab them. I've just moved away and cut them out eventually. So that's how I've managed to handle it. Dealing with it personally, eventually looking at it as a learning opportunities and like making sure that I see the signs, the red flag next time. So I do keep it present. I don't bury it. I keep it present. So when I'm dealing with new people, the red flags are there, and when I see them, it's immediately walk away.
What's the one thing about the entertainment business that you would never put in the press release?
That I would never put in the press release, but you got me saying it right here live.
Yes.
Okay. The record labels, especially the major ones, are shady. That is a thing for sure. The record label, especially the major ones, are shady. Also, lawyers are also very shady, and we do have a lot of entertainment lawyers, and some of them are good, but they're also out for their own interests. And some of them have conflicting interests because some of them work with the major labels as well, or some of them work alongside your opposition legal team. So watch out for those two things. I won't put it in PR. So you didn't hear it from me.
Yes, but you heard it on the podcast. Finally, as we wrap up, so my last question: do you think the African creative industry values executives or the business side as much as it values the artists?
I think no, they value the artists right now. Yeah, I think they value the artists right now. And you can't blame them because that's the face of the business. It's the face off is the artist. The face off is the entertainment. It's the good time. It's how the music make you feel. What memories it gives you. What occasion that is there to to supply joy. So I think it's mainly the respect is given to the artists. The business side of it it's not really acknowledged that much.
And you can live with that.
Oh, I can live with that. However, I think it's part of the journey to African creative industry, especially in the music side, becoming formalized, right? So in the U.S., for example, we know who Sean Puffy Combs is. We know who Dr. Dre is. We know those guys. We know Commissioner Gordon is because those guys are also respected. But it's just the growth. Right now in Africa, you don't know the person behind. You don't know the organization except for bigger ones like Maven. But it's going to grow. And people are going to honestly, respectfully acknowledge the professionals and those guys who sacrifice and invest and help their sons or daughter get a long career.
Mr. Raphael Benza.
Formerly or popularly known as
Benza.
Benza, yeah.
It's been an amazing conversation, and thank you for your time. I truly enjoyed this.
Thank you. Thank you for your time. Thank you for giving me opportunity to share and be in your beautiful space. I appreciate it. Thank you for the water. It was great.
We'll catch up again. Thank you.
It was lovely, man. Okay. Thank you for your hospitality.